And today I have two extremely, oh man, when I say powerhouses, when I say, listen, it's a whole lot of heavy in this building right now. They do a little bit of everything. When we talk about movers and shakers, I got some movers and shakers with me tonight. I have Tosh and I have Janell, and I'm so grateful to have them. And I know that y'all are going to gain so much. That's why I'm so excited about this show, because I know that so many people are going to end this show with like their mind blown. It's going to be so much about the game today. They both do so much that I'm going to actually let each of them kind of tell y'all exactly what they do. We can start with Tosh.
I think that introduction was actually lit. Actually, you made me feel real good about myself.
I just want to put that out there.
I really try to stay super humble. Sometimes I think I'm actually a little too humble. I've been told that, but
being humble don't work as well as being aware.
My boss actually told me, 80% is what you do, but you got to spend 20% actually telling people what you do. And I was real confused when he said that to me, but I get it. But the thing
is, when you're good at what you do, people will speak for you.
And that's kind of how I try to live my life. But yeah, thank you for that.
But still, talk heavy.
Yeah, my name is Taj Becton. I am a HR expert. I am a author. I'm also a realtor and a business owner. And we'll get a little bit more into how all of that comes into play and how I balance it out, because it is a juggling act at times. But we'll get more into that later in the show.
And Janell.
I am Janell Carter, Forbes Diva Real Estate, Janell Carter Real Estate. I'm a mommy, a corporate employee, a realtor, a landlord, investor. I'm all of the above, and proud to be here and proud to be Black.
Yes.
Yes.
So let's have it.
Yes. Always proud to be Black. Being Black is lit.
We're going to call it Black woman magic now. It's not Black girl magic. It's Black woman magic.
And we have lit summers.
Mm-hmm.
Mad magic in the building. Okay, so y'all heard they do a little bit of everything. So we definitely going to focus on entrepreneurship tonight, and we're going to focus on kind of real estate, because I know, there's definitely a push, even amongst my friends, like Black ownership in general. Owning homes, owning business, just having our own things that people cannot take. Just, generational wealth, that gets thrown around a lot these days. And just like what that means and why it's important, and, what we can do for each other and for ourselves to get there. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we was talking a little earlier about how individualistic we can be.
Yeah.
And how, if we just work together a little bit more, we could just be a whole lot further. And these are the facts.
Customer service. We have to serve each other in some type of way.
Yes.
And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And those are the things. And be critics of each other, but in a humble way. Because, like Tasha said, you have to be humble. And you could teach somebody. You have to learn how to lead up and lead down. We don't always have to be above somebody.
Right. And I mean, that's my thing too. I say it all the time, that I don't feel like purpose is like of our own. Like, I don't feel like your purpose is just to serve you. It's what you're going to do, how you're going to change this world, how you're going to change the people around you, what you have to give. It's a giving thing. Your purpose is yours, not for you to just bubble off of it, which you should at some point. That's dope too. But you have to understand that it's what you do for others. Exactly. It's a thing that God gave you, your grace.
That's one of the reasons I always tell people, I hear this, and not to be too spiritual. I say, God, why me?
Spiritual here?
He said, God, but why not you? So if you live on the purpose, you got to be like, God, why me? He's saying, but why not you? You are put in a situation to give life. So that's the thing. Why not you? Why can't you be a teacher? Why can't you be a learner? Observer.
Mm-hmm.
You could be a cheerleader to somebody you don't know. I actually have more cheerleaders that I don't know. And that's a blessing.
I mean, I'm super blessed because I kind of like have the best of both worlds. Like my friends are crazy supportive, but it's also people that I never knew, and you never know who's watching you too. Like that's the thing. Like people that you've never met before in your life really be like cheering you on, even if they don't say something all the time. But like when they come across you, like even over here, they was like, "Oh, we know who you are."
Yeah,
like you know,
I'm
what I mean?
surprised.
It's like people watch, people see, people observe. You know what I mean?
And I think that's what happens when you really focus on putting in the work. Like I'm really big on impact, and when you really look at a lot of the major companies in the world, that are like multi-million-dollar and billion-dollar companies at this point, is because of the impact that they have on the actual community. And like Janelle said, basically like the customer service. Like how are you serving the customer, and what impact does the product or service that you offer actually bring? And I think so many people always try to focus on the bottom line, and they try to focus on, okay, like, well, how can I profit off of this? Or like, let's figure out how to leverage this. And it's more so like if you focus on the impact that you're trying to bring or who you're trying to serve, the rest of it comes. So it's more so like you have to, I think, focus on that sometimes a little bit more than the bottom line. And I think in our community, we're just so, let me get paid off of it. And it's like, okay, well, if you're providing that much information to certain people, eventually people are going to want to pay you for it. I think you have to get to a point where the product that you're offering, like you said, it speaks for itself. So then people want to. You shouldn't have to ask for that payment. And I think that's what's taken a lot away from it. So when you talk about like generational wealth and ownership and things like that, I think that we have the knowledge. Now it's just a matter of, like Janelle said earlier, why are we keeping it in our pocket? And why are we hiding it from each other instead of essentially, kind of building up? Even when it comes to property ownership, a lot of people don't think it's hard to get your first property. But if I'm telling you, hey, we can go and buy a $45,000 house, and we can buy it as an investment property with $9,000 down, then, let's joint venture on that. It'll probably be easier for both of us to come up with like $5,000 than it is for one of us to come up with that $9,000, and then we get started from that, and then we take that income and try to save that up to get the next one.
Right. Teamwork make the dream work.
Teamwork for sure.
Teamwork make the dream work, and you're so right, Tash. Like people don't understand when it comes to a lot of the information that we have of African Americans. We have to share it. Credit. I mean, we spoke about credit. Some people don't even know about credit. They don't even know why they need credit. Some people don't understand when you go to that dealership won't pull your credit 10 times. And I'm not a creditor. I don't fix credit or anything. But it's just being the knowledge of giving somebody this free information that you don't have to pay for. And on my page, I always say, how many times y'all want to go to these first-time home owners and get all these grants, but you still ain't get approved for the house yet?
Right.
So what are you gaining off of sitting and hearing the same spill that a realtor is just trying to draw you in, but they didn't tell you how to get to the house. We got to get you in the house, not to the grants to all the houses, because free ain't always free. It come with a price.
Yes, and a lot of those grants, like Janelle said, are not free. They come with stipulations that people don't know. Some of those grants end up meaning you have a lien on your house for, 10, 15 years, and, you cannot sell that property within that. Wow. So something happens, you're still technically stuck in that, or you got to pay that money back, right? You can't refinance on some of those things. So if your interest rate is crazy high, you're struggling with that payment, you kind of just stuck where you're at. So, I do try to educate people. And I really can honestly say I learned from people who are doing it, like Janelle herself, or, other people in real estate that I know have more experience than I do. I always try to really be humble, and if I have a question, I will reach out and say, hey, I was looking at this. Can you help me understand this more, versus being like, well, yeah, I got it. And, that's not always the best way. And really, how does that help the people that's working with me? If I'm sitting here like I know it all, and I'm really kind of too full of myself to be humble to get the information from somebody that probably has it.
Let me tell you, in this business, if you give somebody a lot of information, either they're going to come back or they're going to go to someone else, and they'll end up coming back because as a realtor, you find everybody wants a quick deal. Everybody wants the easy way. There's no easy way all the time. Sometimes you got to go through some bumps in the road to get what you want.
I mean, most things that are worth it take
that's
a little
worth
extra
it. Exactly. So I can be the realtor. I can give you the credit, all the information, the best lenders to use and everything, but I didn't work as fast as you wanted me to work. So now you're working with another realtor. I'm not upset. That's a congratulations as long as you got a house. But this is my point. Do you get the right interest rates? Did you get the right credit?
Right.
Are you going to maintain the credit? I want to know the after effect. Because once you get that house,
like, it's not just like, I'm going to get you a house and then I'm going to just forget about
congratulations, we're going to take a picture, I got you the house. No, I want to be able to say, I got you the house. What we're going to do when you get the house, now you're in the house, are you going to call me back in 5 years when you're ready to sell it? Or are you going to call me back in 5 years when you're ready to pull some money out the house and buy another property? Because I told you about that 401k that before you even got that pre-approval. Because I told you about certain things, and I educated you on what you might need to look at, how you need to go about.
So this is going to be
using
long-term.
Long-term.
Yeah.
Don't quit your job. Yeah. Stay at your job for 2 years. You know, get a paycheck. Put your money in your account. Savings is good. Especially, I know you probably hear people say, "How much should I save?" Unlimited. It's not a stop on saving.
Exactly.
Should I just say 2,000? Why?
Exactly.
It's good to have zero down. There's no such thing as zero down.
Right.
It's good to come to the table not paying money, but why not save? It's okay to save. I think we put a limit on everything. Like, you don't have to save.
I be like literally having to hide money from myself to save it. Like, it's hard.
Get a bank account where you can't walk in the door and take the money out.
Yeah, I did that. It's still hard.
Oh.
I mean, I've gotten a lot better than I used to be, but it's still a work in progress.
And people also don't understand too. Like, when you're going to buy a property, the more money that you put down it's better for you at long term and like your monthly payment wise. Like a lot of people are like, oh, you know, I only want to pay $1,000 a month. Okay, well, you're not going to get that unless you have a certain amount of money down. So you have to kind of think about that. Like, a lot of people think that they're going to really get like this HGTV fully rehabbed home, paying $1,000 a month. You know, and I have no other issues with the house, and it's gonna be move-in ready in a great neighborhood. And you're like, when you find that magical land, please let me know so I can refer everybody to that
Just like that
area.
car you took off the dealership, and a week later it ain't even worth the same price you paid for it. Yeah. I mean, we get that all the time. You know, y'all go to the dealership, y'all buy cars. Y'all don't have all this expectation for the cars, but you have expectation for the house. It's crazy how people see it two different ways, but that's why lenders are giving out all these cars.
Right.
You can get the Maserati.
Exactly.
Get the Maserati. We ain't going to get you the house, though.
Right, exactly.
Because you want to live in that Maserati for a little bit longer. You know, you want to deal with them type of banks and saying, I want you to get the house. Because they don't want the house. They want the interest off the house.
Exactly.
So while they getting paid, you need to be getting paid.
Well, just to like take it back a little bit, what actually like got y'all started or wanting to, you know what I mean, get into entrepreneurship or being a landlord or getting into real estate in general?
I got into real estate when I was 21. I'm going to say I thought I was in love. And I wanted to move out my mom's house. And I was just like, I'm not paying nobody no rent money. And somebody was like, you can get a house at this time. You can get a house for like $2,000 down. Move right in. My house cost $40,000. At that time, $40,000 in Alany, I was paying $395 in mortgage. My mortgage just got to $400 or something.
Yes.
So
I wish they still had those deals.
But my interest rate was a little higher than it was like 6.5. So it's a little higher than what it is now.
Right.
But when that separation came, I was like, it was cheaper to stay at mommy house. Yes, I said that. It's cheaper to stay at mommy house. You don't have to save up before you move out. I was paying $150 a month living at my mom's house. And think about it, hotels probably was $100 a weekend at that time. But I was like, I'm going to buy this house. Then I got the house. And I'm like, I don't want to be here by myself after the breakup. I'm going to, but I want to keep the house because I see now the value of the house is going up. Wait a minute, my house is now went from $40,000 to $60,000. Okay. I can move back in the back room for $150 at my mom's house. She's comfortable with that. I just can't sneak shoes in the front door. I got to sneak shoes in the back door. My taste buds was a little high because now I got a job. I graduated college, and I can't walk in with new pair of Jordans in the front door. And my mom was like, "But you're renting $150. You bought $150
sneakers.
What's going on?
Somebody eating good,
right?" So I decided. I had a family member who needed somewhere to live. And when I told her that the rent was like almost double, she was like, "Oh, I paid it." I'm like, "Wait a minute, she's about to pay me double for my mortgage? And I'm going to go move in the back room. And I got a car note, credit cards. Yeah, credit cards. And I'm not going to have to pay no more mortgage because she won't pay my mortgage." And that's how I became a landlord. Then I went and got into being a landlord. I'm like saving money. I'm like, I don't have to pay the mortgage. This mortgage is giving me good credit. Like, this look like I'm paying it, but I'm not even paying it. So this is it's like a race.
Win-win.
It's a win-win. Then I decided I wanted to go back to school because I left the post office. I was a postal worker. And I'm going to say this, not to be long-winded. Don't work for money. I worked at a job for 3 years. I hated it. When I say I hated it, threw up every time I went. Because I was working for money. Because in my mindset, when I graduated high school, you want to get $27 an hour. So before I was 25, I was making almost $30 an hour. I'm like, a lot of money, but I hated the job. So I left that job and took like a $10,000, $15,000 pay cut. I just wanted to be out. And I decided the jobs that I was going to, they wasn't paying me enough. I'm going to get my master's. But I'm like, who going to pay for this master's? So I got a job to pay for my master's. That's how I ended up from the banking industry. I went from banking to healthcare. So somebody going to pay for these degrees. And whatever they're offering me for free, that's what I'm going to take. But I had so many student loans. I'm like, well, I got to offset these student loans. I got somebody paying my mortgage of this house. I want to get another house. And I have student loans, crazy credit. At this time, credit was out of reach almost because I was at limit. I was at those people who say they had like 80% utilization. Oh, yeah, I was at 80%. So I always tell my clients I've been there before. Everybody's probably been there before. Maxed out, still going to Miami Beach, acting like I was like just living the life.
Living $180 rent. I'm out here.
I'm out here. New car, new shoes, going to all the clubs. So I decided I'm not paying. I had to find somebody to pay for student loan. My mom was like, I paid for the first degree. I ain't paying for the second. This is a luxury. Master's is a luxury. So when I got my master's degree, I decided, how am I going to pay for this? I remember in undergrad, I wanted to get out of Temple so fast, I took real estate classes, electives. So they was like, you can get your license. I said, really? I can get my real estate license? Yeah, you just prove that you have the credits. So I went to the test, failed it. So I said, I'm going to go to a class, it's $500. I passed it. And once I passed it, I said, what am I going to do with this real estate license? Now I got to talk to people. And I didn't make no money in real estate the first 6 months. And when I got that first hit, it was like popping the cherry. I'm on and running. Like, now I have money to pay these other people. Whoa, I'm in it. Yeah. Now I have all this extra money to pay student loan. Now I'm around other people who are talking about finances. They're talking larger than I ever heard.
Right.
I heard about money. I knew about credit. I knew about 401k because I worked in the banking. But I never knew what can I do is. Like, what else can I do? How can I buy another property without using my money? Mm-hmm. Nobody told me, don't refinance, get the HELOC. I'm like, I can get more money? And, like, I can buy properties and I can close
home
deals.
Equity line of credit.
Home equity line of credit, I'm sorry. So that's how I actually...
Like, we don't know what that is.
Yeah. So the investors is pushing it, right?
They're pushing it.
Yeah, not everybody need to get that. That's just putting yourself in debt.
Refi. A lot of people don't understand, and we can probably talk about the refi game because a lot of people going to be jammed up, especially because the recession is coming.
This is why I tell people that, they push, don't go to college, don't do this. I'm an advocate of educating yourself. You don't need a degree to be an entrepreneur, but you need to be prepared for the future in any type of way. Because today you could be a millionaire. Tomorrow, everything could just go solid as a rock. I done seen people be on private planes last year and they ain't on private planes this year. That's all I'm saying. So that Instagram thing, don't take that literal because we really in a democracy where you never know where we're going to go.
Right.
So that's just how I got in real estate. I just felt like I wanted to pay Peter, pay Paul, and then Peter started paying me a lot. And I was like, wait a minute. I think I'm on to something. Yeah. People like me doing this. And I started enjoying it. Mm-hmm. And when you enjoy something, you want to make more money.
Right.
And that's how I got into that. And I didn't leave my first job because why? I need the benefits. It's a hustle. They gonna pay my benefits? Why would I quit? They gonna pay my benefits.
Right.
And I'm gonna have a baby on them.
People make it seem like you have to not have
I need the benefits.
Listen, I can tell you from HR, most people getting paid for 8 hours ain't working 8 hours. That's a fact. So when a lot of people on there, and I've got on Instagram and said that a lot of people say, I'm gonna quit my job, and I'm like, why? Most of the time you're not even working. They pay you for 8. Most people getting an hour lunch, so you down to 7. And most people truly not even fully working 7. So when you really think about it, yeah, you got to give up a few hours. You might have to be on site depending on what type of job you have, but you're having consistent income and, you know, like she said, the benefits. You got to think, like, just at my company alone, benefits is over $10,250 per person. And that's because we really subsidize a lot for our employees. So as an employee, you pay $20 a month for everything. Dental was on the company.
Oh, that's fine.
But, you know, a lot of people don't get that part. So even when people are saying, you know, I'm paying $130 a month for benefits, really, in reality, your company is probably paying $8,000 or $9,000 on your behalf that you don't see. So a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I'd rather have my time. But it's like, okay, well, what you doing all day? Like when I think about leaving my job, I'm like, well, hell, all my friends at work, what I'm gonna do all day?
Yeah, and I mean, I feel the same way. Why would I leave my job? I like that. I got $100,000 student loan. 100, Sally, now that 100,000, 100,000. But guess what?
100.
I'm almost there. My yearly income on one job is that already. So it paid for itself.
Yeah.
Now, if we have a recession or something, guess what? If real estate don't work out, I got something to fall back on.
That's true.
Because a lot of people that's kind of banking on just real estate. Like I always say all the time, like right now, you know, a lot of people are pushing like Airbnb businesses and stuff like that, and that's fine. But you have to think when the recession comes and people don't have money, they're not renting no Airbnb. People not going to pay to stay in no hotel. Like it's because when you cut back, the first thing you cut back on are luxuries. But you know, so even somebody that's paying rent, a lot of people are landlords. But what happens when that person loses their job? Because when the recession comes, who goes first? Low income workers. Low income workers and middle management always go first.
This is why, as a landlord, you don't chase the money all the time. I like those. My tenant been paying me on time for 4 years now, and I probably went up on his rent twice because he likes being late. But I'd rather have a late payer than a no payer at all. And people are like, what? The average rent right now in Philadelphia is $1,200 or more. Right? So my tenant told me, he was like, you know, something happened. I think I want to move from this. I want to, you know, give you my 30-day notice. I said, okay, cool. In 10 days, he was like, no, I'm not moving. I didn't think so because you're rent under that price. I mean, it's real comfortable. But my thing is, I'm also comfortable. I got a tenant who's paying me. He might not pay on the first, but he pay on the 10th. I'd rather have a tenant that's paying me before
you getting the money
than somebody that's
not paying.
$1,200 is out of reach because, like you're saying, when they lose their job, something's going to happen. These are regular people every day. Just like being a landlord, we hear people say, well, you're a landlord, you got money. No. I might be in the back room again.
Right.
Anytime, anything can happen, I might be in the back room. So when you think about buying real estate, leaving your job, changing your whole life, you got to think about everything. You got to put all those chips on the table at one time. So
big picture.
I'm not one of those people who quit your job, be your own boss. You'll be your own boss, and then you be broke, and then what?
And that's why I tell Janell to go
make a plan
because she's realistic. like that's one thing. Honestly, I could always say that I admire people who are realistic about it because really, what's happening on social media, just in general, right now, and in our society, is a lot of people are selling dreams. And, you know, I get a lot of flack for just being on social media and being real about it. Like, you know, whether it's a story or a day-to-day thing, but it's a lot of people selling dreams and they selling people these stories and these fake lifestyles. Like, you know, there's a lot of people you see taking extravagant trips, but I can promise you they ain't paying all that money for them trips. Like it's a lot of under the table things that's going on. And they're doing this because if I sell you my lifestyle, they feel like now you'll be more inclined to pay that $500, that $1,000 I'm asking for a course. Like and some of the stuff
and
that people,
it's kind of like a branding tactic. At this point. It's just like if you see that I'm living like this, and you also want to live like this, you want to live like me. I can tell you how to live like me, even though that really might not be how I'm living, but. Pay me and you could be on these trips too.
Yeah, like
and you can have this card too.
Then they're not going to tell you the whole. They're not going to tell you the whole story because if a lot of people painted the whole story, like Janell just did, I could be in the back room. A lot of people not going to tell you that that's truly how they're living. Like a lot of these people got you thinking they living in penthouses and driving Mercedes, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but you know how that Mercedes maintenance looking? Because I'm gonna keep my little Nissan and call it a day right now.
Well, you didn't say what got you in the real estate.
So I really got into real estate and entrepreneurship really because being in HR, you kind of see a lot about just like the job market and how companies actually think from a corporate standpoint. And I never wanted to be in the position where one person just had control over what I was doing. Very similar to what Janell was saying, I wanted to basically be making money from multiple angles and not, you know, if something happened, I still always had something to fall back on. And I went and got like my master's. I'm like HR certified, all of that type of stuff. So truthfully, do I have any intentions on leaving HR? No. But do I have intentions on starting more businesses on my own? Yes. I started my first business in 2016, and it was really more like a marketing, consulting, event planning company, because I really love music. I've always really, really enjoyed music. Just like the music industry in general is always fascinating. At one point in time, back in 2016, when I decided to start the business, I actually had got a job offer from Atlantic Records. And I was going to actually move to New York to actually work with Atlantic Records and do HR up there. But it was just the way the money and everything kind of looked. And then New York is also more expensive. I was like, I could actually just stay here, start my own thing from the muscle. And
New York here now.
Yeah, and that's what I did. So I was making music shows, and I mean, if I'm doing one show, and these are independent artists, I'm making a nice amount of money each night. If I'm making $1,000 plus in that night, and I'm still getting paid next week, I'm good. So it's that whole thing. And that was really why I decided to get into it. But I knew going into real estate that it wasn't going to be easy. But I also wanted something that would not take up all of my time. Like I wanted the time to still be able to explore other options, like, writing books and things like that. So I wanted something where it's like, okay, if I do this, I know I can make money here. And then maybe a couple months later, I'm going to make more money there, but I can still focus on this project here. And I'm not just like swamped with stuff. Right. So for me, it was more of the time. Yeah, it was like the flexibility of it. It was the fact that I could make money doing it. And I've always just had an aptitude for helping people. I've always just been a resource. Anytime that I can lend a hand, lend an ear, I'm always down to do that. So it kind of just fit right into the mold. And then my HR job is not like a typical HR job. So I'm doing a lot of negotiations every day because I work with labor unions, and I've been working with labor unions my whole career. So that's a constant back and forth sitting at the table. Very, very transferable into real estate when it's constant negotiations back and forth at the table. So it was really kind of utilizing the skills that I already had and kind of leveraging those skills.
Right. And applying them different ways.
Right. That's what makes you a better realtor, though. That's the customer service. Like somebody being in the banking industry, is the different things of knowing what's going on from here. It's like, wait a minute, I can use this. Yep. So I use that banking mixed with the healthcare. Like, you got 401k? What do I need that for? To buy a house. You got 403b? Oh, I need that? Yeah, you can buy a house. So all those things that you use throughout your career helps you be a better person in your entrepreneurship. Because some people don't see that connect. There's no disconnect. You can use what you do in the past, in the present. You just got to figure out how it works. Right. So that's why I was saying before, I don't work with everybody. Everybody's not meant to be my client. Right. I vibe. If we ain't on the same vibe, if I meet you and I'm not the realtor for you. I fire clients.
But fast. And like we said, all money's not good money.
All money ain't good.
And some of these clients, because there's so much information out there and so much stuff being pushed, they'll watch like 5 Instagram videos and then think they know the whole process. And it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, then you go do it. Yeah. Like, why you sitting here asking me if you already feel like you have what's going on? Like, I had one client that wanted to sell his house. And so the house was in Albany, and I'm telling him, like, Albany's not necessarily the area in Philly right now that a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm going to buy this house in Albany. Like, it's not that area. So I'm telling him, like, you can still get a buyer, but you might need to do some updates. And if you're not going to do some updates, you want to do some heavy staging in here because you want a potential buyer to look at, okay, like, this may not be the most updated home, but maybe they can see themselves in it. Maybe you might not have a person that need all the flashy HGTV stuff. And so he didn't want to do that. And like, he's a contractor. So he's telling me, oh, well, since I took the plaster walls down and I put sheetrock up, people are like that. I'm like, you really think people will come in here and tell the difference between plaster and sheetrock?
Stop selling your trash.
and that's kind of what he was doing. So it was like, he had like his basement wasn't finished, but he had a whole bunch of stuff in there. I'm like, well, before you list this, you might want to clean it out. He's like, all right, I don't want to clean it out. I'm like, okay, well, I'm telling you, when we list this, it's not going to work. So we had one person, we had like 9 people come out, see the house. One person wanted to buy it, and then her job fell through. She actually ended up getting laid off in the process of buying the home. So at that point, she couldn't even afford the house no more. Now the house is still sitting because the effort that I was telling you to put in it, where we could have maybe had 2 or 3 people lined up, you didn't do that. So, and it's hard. Like Janell said, when you're working with certain people and they think like, yeah, I've been through this before, or I got it, or my friend did it. It's like, okay, well then. Yeah,
just because your mom bought a house in the 80s don't mean that she knows what a house and a mortgage does in the new millennium. And it's crazy. A lot of people go by their parents. My mom did it this way. But when did she settle on her house? Like, what year? When was that? the times have changed, especially with being a landlord. And I meet a lot of investors too. Like, why are you selling people your trash? Would you live here? And that's one of the questions I always ask people. Would you live here? Because if you won't live here, because you never know, you can lose your job. You might end up back here.
Right.
So why would you want to sell somebody
and
somewhere
why be a slumlord? Because like she said, you might end up having to stay in that property. You know, but a lot of people when they are doing investments, because her saying investor actually made me think about this. Like, you have a lot of people that are going out here and they're just using debt on top of debt on top of debt. Whether it's business credit or personal credit, guess what? You still got to pay it back. It don't matter who it comes from. You still won't have to pay that money back. And so a lot of these people are not prepared and are not like stable. So you can say you own 5 properties, but if you're only making $200 a property, then
you're cash poor.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cash poor investors out here, though.
Yeah. So and then you have to think about it like, what is the equity in their house, and how are you going to get to 100% ownership? So there's a lot of people out here just acquiring. Like, I'm going to acquire because I can. I have this business credit. I'm getting HELOCs. I'm getting business credit cards, $50,000 limits. I'm gonna go buy a house with that. Okay, so then what happens?
What's the long-term
What's the long-term plan? Like, what's the, like, Big Business did a podcast, and the one thing that he said that really stuck with me is, what is your exit strategy? Like, you cannot start investing in anything without an exit strategy. It's the same thing with the stock market, because I dabble in the stock market a little bit too. And
did you see Tesla?
Yes, it's skyrocketing right now, and literally you have to have an exit strategy. Like not Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos just sold $1.8 billion of Amazon stock. He had an exit strategy. He knew when it got to the certain point, I'm going to cash out. And I'm pretty sure he's going to take that and pour that into the new Amazon logistics business that they're literally getting up and running right now. So I think that a lot of times when it comes to real estate investing, people see the money, but they don't think about it. Like, I would rather have 2 properties that I own at 100% versus 4 that I owe $60,000 on.
Yeah. That's definitely true, because they're not thinking about it long term. You know, everybody wants the quick fix, especially in this business. And I work with flippers, and they trying to get rid of hard monies in like 6 months. I need to get rid of this. Sell the house cheaper. Because hard money is like a loan shark. You know, now you're dealing with a loan shark to make more money. So basically, you're almost cash poor.
Oh, okay.
You got a lot of property, but you don't have
to keep up.
You don't have the credit. Because people, you don't have that. And I say that to people who are trying to sell their house. You're trying to sell your house to pull the equity out because you're in a neighborhood where there's equity. But guess what? You don't have the credit to get another house. So you left yourself in the jam. You're in the jam. So when we sell your house, where you want to go? Oh, you just got $50,000.
Oh, wow.
I have credit that can get me $100,000. You just got $50,000. The credit is going. Credit is king.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you can. If you don't have them 2 aspects, it's like you left out here. You can't maneuver.
So you're going to end up trying to spend that $50,000 cash to buy a house in cash, but you're probably going to end up in a worse area, probably a more undesirable area than where you were. So you probably were better off staying where you were in the first place. But it's like we were saying earlier, you kind of got to lay your chips on the table and really look at, what move am I trying to make with this? Like, where do I plan on going? Like, I was talking to a potential client, and they're moving to the Poconos. So they have like 3 properties. They said they probably want to keep 1 in Philadelphia, but sell 2. But that makes sense, right? Because they're no longer going to live here. They already have another property that they're already going to move to, and then probably one that they're going to keep as a rental. That's the strategy. A lot of people are not strategically thinking about it. And I say it's really just because it's the highlight reel. So I want to be able to post like, yeah, I got 5 Airbnbs. Yeah, I got 19 properties. Yeah, like, but it's like, okay, so what do you, at that point, then what?
Yeah.
Like what's next? So now you have it. Now what are you doing with it? Like, how are you leveraging it? How are you using that to better yourself, your family stuff? Like, I tell you straight up, anything that I do really is with my family in mind. Like, I don't have children yet, but like, writing a book to me, like that, like when I look at that and that's royalties, my children, they have a check forever. Like, that's not just me being like, okay, you know, I'm doing this for the highlight reel. I'm doing this because I truly want my kids to have something more, not just my 401k. It's the same thing with property. Like, I want something I can own 100%. I don't want to leave them with a $70,000 house bill that they got to pay off. So now it's just, okay, they got the house, but what is that?
Yeah, because
they don't really have it.
That job insurance is going to cut you off when you lose the job.
Sure is. And when you're paying regular medical benefits out of pocket, you're looking at $400 to $600 per month. You ask a lot of people, can they afford that expense? On top of rent, on top of a car note, on top of food, on top of luxury expenses, cable, Netflix, all that stuff that people love to enjoy. Can you comfortably afford that? And you have to think, if you're married, can you and your spouse afford that?
Let me tell you something. I didn't have cable for 4 years.
I haven't had cable. Okay. I can't remember last time I had cable.
And I needed Wi-Fi though, so I had to get cable. But I didn't have cable for 4 years. I was a Columbia House. I was borrowing a lot of Columbia House stuff. Like
I'm still in Wi-Fi. Don't worry about it.
So I just, and I ask people this, and I ask moms, because I'm a mom. And as I became a mom, I understand why some moms do the things that they do. And I ask moms when they call, I want to buy a house for me and my kids, and I don't have no money saved. And I'm like, you're a mom, you have no money saved. You know what I asked them? Do you have cable? They're like, yeah. I said, how many hours a day are you home? Because guess what? Cable like $200 to $300 a month.
Comcast is ridiculous.
Right? Mm-hmm. If you work 8 hours a day, right? Mm-hmm. Your kids probably don't look at it when they come home. By the time you get home, you make dinner. Are they really looking at cable? I'm not. I mean,
we're get you a Fire Stick and keep it pushing.
The Wi-Fi, you can save $200-$300 a month, easy, for getting rid of that type of stuff. And that's what I tell my clients. They be like, "Oh, I believe she just told me to cut my cable off." Yep, I did. Sorry. Yep. Because those are the things.
Necessary.
It's not necessary. We don't need it. I mean, I love Starbucks, and sometimes I'm lazy. I go to Target, get Pizza Hut. Yeah, I get Pizza Hut for the whole family for dinner.
I do love Target, so
but it's certain things that as a realtor, I had to tell people, like, we gotta let certain things go that we don't see, that we don't need over 5 years. Mm-hmm. It's other ways. I just want people to start saving money long term. Start thinking about long term. This job might let you go tomorrow. It's okay to give your money to 401k. It's pre-tax. It's okay. That means you can bring more money home.
And that's when you take with you. The job lets you go. You keep that 401k. It don't go nowhere.
It's okay to go to Prudential and get a life insurance plan. Sure. You don't have to go to Prudential, but guess what? You can pull from the life insurance plan when you really have a rainy day or a hardship. Mm-hmm. I'm not paying for that, but it's okay to get insurance for your kids, or because you might gain some money off of that too when you have a hardship. Mm-hmm. But you go and buy. I love my Louis, but you go buy a Louis and then you can't sell it because now it's used and it lost value. Mm-hmm. You didn't put it on your home insurance because you didn't have a home.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Because I know even last year when I got laid off or whatever, I was there for a while, so my severance was generous. And then
you was living off that too.
And then I got all my 401k, and I was like, I didn't even know I saved this much because I really didn't pay attention to it, to be honest. I set a number, and when I first got there, I said it that it would go up 1% every year. I didn't really think about it.
Right.
So I was there for 5 years. So when I got laid off and stuff like that, and I was like, they was like, oh yeah, and you can either leave your 401k in or you can cash it out. And I was just like, I forgot about that. And I went and I looked and I was like, well, damn, I did that.
That's my money.
And I was under the guise that I couldn't save money or that I wasn't good at saving money, but I was actually doing a really good job of saving some money.
You know how many clients I dealt with that I had to tell them, like, who's taking the money out your account? What's your check looking like? I gotta pay 401k, and I'm like, how long you been here? 10, 15 years. I met a guy, actually, no lie. He was at his job for over 10 years. I said, you have 401k? Yeah, they told me I had 401k. Who you got 401k with? Vanguard. I said, call him and ask how much is your balance. He called me back in 2 hours like, Janelle, how do I have all this money? I said, now why are you in debt? Because you have money. So you can save because you didn't know that because we give our money away, but we don't know why we're giving it away. Mm-hmm. See, these companies are saying, get 401k, but you didn't know you had this whole money. And guess what? He worked in another job. He forgot to roll over the 401k. Now go call them and tell them you want to roll over your money because they're using your money for somebody else.
Yeah.
And I also tell people, when your employer offers you 401k match, that's free money. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people they matching you dollar for dollar. Like my company matches up to 6%.
Yeah, mine too.
So when you're looking at that, just say if you save $5,000, you're getting another $5,000 for free at the end of that year. So I mean, that's another benefit to having a job. So even when you're thinking about making business moves and long-term investment moves, why would you pass up free money? As an entrepreneur, ain't nobody giving you free money.
And it's free drag. Like, that's not coming out. You should be bringing more money home.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, as far as, like, when people come to you to buy houses, what do you feel like are like some of the biggest misconceptions people have, or the things that they're most uneducated about?
They can afford it. What their girlfriends can afford, what their friends can afford. Just because you pay rent, don't mean you can afford it. If you pay $1,500 a month for rent, that's because you chose to pay $1,500 a month for rent. But your paycheck is going to be the ideal amount of money you really can afford. So the reason why they ask people for 2 years of tax returns, because they want to make sure
you need 2 years of tax returns.
You need 2 years of tax returns. Yes, 2 years, because overtime don't count unless you do it for 2 years. Bonuses don't count unless you've been getting it for 2 years.
Yes.
Just like you need to have the tax return, and you need to have the pay stubs, and you have to have the credit. All these things come in. So if you walk in the door, I can afford $1,500 a month. No, you really can't. Because your boyfriend's been paying $800 and you've been paying the $700. But and based on this paycheck, because people get really offended. I can afford more, and I don't know, Tasha, if you have this. I've lost clients because they felt like they should be approved at $200,000, and my lender couldn't approve them, but at $150,000. I said maybe that $150,000 was really where you were at. Well, I want $200,000, and I have asked the client.
And I mean, it depends on your income debt ratio and stuff.
Your income, and they're like, "Well, somebody got me more money." I said, "Well, how much did you pay for the loan organization fee?" What? Oh, you didn't look at that. Or how much you paid? What's the interest rate? Oh, you didn't look at that. You just wanted the extra $50,000. What's the penalty? What's your PMI? Which is principal mortgage insurance. What is that? Oh, I didn't know. So you jump ship because nobody gave you enough money. But did you figure out why you pay? Why did they give you more money? Why did this lender give you $150 because you could afford $1,500 a month, and this lender gave you $2,000? Because we're gonna have a certain bank all over again. Couple years ago, all the banks went, gave all these people all these loans, and they had to short sell on their houses. And when you educate people like that, they get offended. Why? Get what you can afford.
It's like, I'm trying to help you.
I'm trying to help you.
And it's like, it's not like you can't find what you want in your budget.
Yep.
You can find what you want, but within your means.
Like, and sometimes people are so close-minded too, and that's kind of what hurts them. Like, some people are like, I have to be in this neighborhood. It's like, well, can you be 10 minutes away from that neighborhood? Because you can get everything you want if you're not in that particular zip code, but you're 10 minutes away.
I have to have new.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I definitely agree. Hers is number one, but the number two thing to me is what people need versus what they want. Like, people sometimes go into a house looking for so much stuff, and it's like, well, do you need it? I need a yard. Well, do you cook out? Do you have a dog? Do you have small children that are going to play in that yard? Because if it's just you and grandpop over there, I mean, how often you really going to sit in that yard? So is this really necessary? Or, I've had people that say, well, I want a house with 3 bathrooms. Why do you
can only go to the bathroom
you can
one
only
at a
use
time.
one, and you telling me that there's only 2 of y'all, so why you need 3? Like, if you were saying, 1.5, maybe 2, maybe y'all getting ready at the same time, but people be like, I want 4 bathrooms, and you're like, 4 bathrooms? What?
They want all those twerks, but guess what? Twerks. But guess what? They didn't say nothing about the roof. They didn't say nothing about the heating system. They didn't say anything about those mechanical items, and then they get into the new, and then they want to call us a year later. My roof is leaking. You didn't have a roof warranty. The kitchen is nice, though.
Yeah. Just saw the granite countertop.
And some of these
and the refrigerator to talk to you.
And they told us that, you would go back into the records because we had to keep records for 2 years. Remember they told you that the roof's going to get coated in 2 years? Oh, this is the coat time. What? Yeah,
and they don't want to pay those upkeep costs. And some of these contractors, a lot of people doing these flips, but you got to understand, flipping is a business. Yeah, so people always worried about their bottom line. So if getting that done for you who's going to buy this house is going to impact their bottom line, it's not happening. They're going to find the cheapest way around that. So I always say, sometimes just because it looks nice don't mean that that's the best option, because you start peeling walls back or you start lifting up a floor and then you like, wow, what's going on? They're like, Janelle said, you've been in the house a year and a half now, and the roof leaking. So now all of that hardwood flooring and that nice ceiling you had, it ain't nice no more. There's a big old yellow stain in it because they did some shoddy work, or like, I had sold a house one time where a contractor, there was a skylight, and instead of them taking out the skylight, they built like a light. Built a light over the skylight. So when the skylight started leaking, they couldn't see the damage until it was too late.
So we had the skylight. somebody put sheetrock on top of a mirror. They didn't want to take the mirror down. They just put a whole new sheetrock on top of the wall.
I had somebody put sheetrock on the floor to lay a hardwood floor.
What?
Yes. Yes.
Well, I can give you a list of stuff that people, they walk in, you see this, right? And I want to, that's probably, I'm too honest sometimes. I'm like, this right here, I'm not a contractor, but this don't look good. Mm-hmm. But I love the kitchen. Okay, you love it. Don't say I didn't pick it up.
Right.
I told you that, this floor is not leveled, or you don't feel that we're upside down. You don't feel,
you don't see the slant right there.
You don't see that. Okay, you're cool with it. Hey, this is your dream home. You
don't see those holes in the exterior right there. They didn't do that pointing. Why? Because that pointing costs $5,000.
You smell this mold? I'm going outside. I don't smell mold. Oh, you smell potpourri over the mold. I get it.
Got it.
Okay,
got it. And that's a lot of times. So people are like, yeah, I want this suit. Like some contractors do really good rehabs because they take a lot of pride in their work. But you got other people that's just about the dollar, and you're not always going to get the best deal. So, like, I personally am a fan of older homes with character.
Yes.
I really love a house that's probably built in 1925 and got, like, masonry stone on the front and crayon molding. Like, that's just my style. Like, I don't really need all the white, clean lines. It's just not my thing.
And Grandma and Grandpa got a new heater last year.
Exactly.
Grandma and Grandpa were
take care of their stuff.
Older people will take care of their homes.
They got panel on the wall. That's what that roof is. 10-year warranty on that roof. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people don't look at that type of stuff, and you try to point it out. Like, they got a new roof. You could really do your own kitchen for $10,000, but you want to buy it for $20,000 more than the block. Mm-hmm. It's different things. So I always tell people, work around your budget, because I've seen the fake ducks in the wall.
Yes.
The what?
Fake ducks. So everybody wants central air now, right? They can just get the air. The air. The fake ducks.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Yeah. So you go to look in and like, why is the air not blowing? Oh, because you're in a row home, but row homes usually didn't have ducts, unless you gut the house.
Right.
So you go in like, the central air is not really working. And they're like, yeah. Then the guy takes it down and say, oh, because there's a wall behind it. It's just fake ducts.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Exactly. And you got to have a realtor that's actually willing to go in there and literally look at their house and try to lift stuff up and move stuff and shake stuff and all of that. Because if you don't have that, essentially you could end up in a pretty bad spot. Pretty bad spot. Like, even when it comes to home inspections, you got to have a realtor that's really going to comb through that inspection, because there's so much stuff. Like, I had a guy that essentially for a house I closed on in December was trying to sell them a house where the chimney, it was actually crumbling on the inside. So they needed to actually put like a I forget what you call it, but they had to put like an install inside the chimney.
That fiber stuff.
They had to like put like a sleeve inside the chimney and actually like cap it off. So because it was literally so open that squirrels could have came in it. The chimney is crumbling, and then at the basement wall where it all kind of pours out into, they got this big pipe behind the wall that wasn't covered. The pipe wasn't even sealed off. Pipe was big enough for a raccoon to get through it. But had we not been in there, and I'm not like taking this board down and tearing the walls apart and stuff like that, who knows? They could sleep in the basement, and mind you, they had a family member that was planning on staying in the basement at the time. Like, they were buying the house, so like certain people was going to live upstairs, and he was going to take the downstairs, and he could have been sleeping. And comes a possum.
Do you have a problem with people buying warranties?
No.
I'm gonna tell you this: everybody should have a warranty. If you don't get a warranty, you should purchase one. And I think that's the hardest thing I have, telling people to buy a warranty.
Yeah, see, I haven't had too much issue with that.
They really. I had to make a disclaimer. I had to put a disclaimer out there, because as I became a realtor, we had a lot of rain last year. Mm-hmm. I had calls, so many calls. Oh, my roof is leaking. First of all, we live in Philadelphia. We had blizzards. We had rain. We have all that stuff. This is not a state that don't. Your roof ain't gonna last for 20 years. It's not.
It's a lot of wear and tear.
It's a lot of wear and tear. You have to have some of this stuff in place. Like, the city is pumping these insurance for the water. Well, all these new rehabs coming up is new pipes. So that's affecting those old pipes. Get the Philadelphia home insurance. Get this stuff. Oh, no, I'm not buying it. But you want to buy something that don't even work. And you on my phone. I was hired last year. I'm not hired this year.
And PGW even offers a warranty now for like heaters. You can get like parts and components in the plan, and they put it right on your bill. But that's the thing. Like she said, we give our money away, but we're not giving our money away to things that actually make sense. So then at the end, you're trying to call your realtor like you're going to get some type of recourse. You're not, because that's not me. I was here to represent you through the transaction. So once that transaction closed, that was the end of it for me. Once you sign those papers on closing day, you are responsible for whatever happens in that house after that. Now, you may have a small little bit of recourse depending on what happens, like if something happens 2 weeks after closing, something like that. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, once you sign it, that's your problem now.
It's going to be, please contact your real estate attorney.
Mm-hmm. At that point, because you're now going after the person you bought the house from. You're not coming to me for that. Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize that. But like she said, when you're doing your job as a realtor and you're not just being that yes woman and you're not just telling people what they want to hear and kind of going with what they want you to do just to get the deal closed, you do get a lot of pushback from that. A lot of pushback.
Yeah. And I really had to tell some of my clients, even when they refer people, I'm like, let me just say this up front. If your girlfriend don't have a house, don't listen to her through this process. No shade to her, but she going to tell you can't afford it, you can't get it. And I had the girls at my job said, I can't get a house, my credit ain't good. And I was like, what's your credit? It's just 640. That's the average credit score. Mm-hmm. I said, do they have a house? No. How y'all listening to these people who don't even have... Look, she don't want you on top of her. And guess what? The same person who told you can't afford a house, they're the same person on my phone when you went to sign. And they didn't even tell you they was a referral. Mm-hmm. Oh, I work at such and such job. Can you help me get a house? Oh, she referred you? Oh, no. Oh, you see it. Mm-hmm. You told her she couldn't. You the one that told her she couldn't get it. Yeah, and I think as a people, we should stop doing it.
We should.
Encourage.
Uplift. And encourage.
Uplift. Get your credit in order. Credit first. And these, like Credit Karma and stuff, they actually... The credit score is not accurate, but they're very educational, and you can follow those tips, and they do work. Mm-hmm. The tips do work. Trade lines, I'm not a fan of the trade lines because trade lines is not... A lot of banks are picking them up, trade lines. Like, you just bought a trade line just to get your credit where it need to be at. We're not accepting it.
Tell people exactly what a trade line is.
A trade line is when someone uses Fingerhut on their credit and try to open up an account, buy like one thing, and Fingerhut gave you a $10,000 credit limit.
And you see a lot of people doing that to build business credit.
Yeah.
A lot of people are using those services. So you start an LLC, you can't. That's like a lot of people think you start an LLC and now you can just go apply for credit cards. You can't. Like, you have to build your business credit too. So people will use websites like that and then try to quickly build their business credit. And then in 6 months, they're getting a $50,000 loan, but you haven't even cultivated that business at all to come up with a revenue stream for it. So your whole plan was just to use business credit. And then most people are, I'm going to buy a rental property. But every rental property ain't that easy to rent out.
Yeah.
It's not a thing. So when that property is not rented out, you're still going to be responsible for that bill.
Right.
And that's the other thing with being a landlord is you also have to be in a position to take on those costs. Like, you got a tenant and the water heater go out. They can't be bathing their kids in cold water because you live in paycheck to paycheck. Right. It just don't work like that. So a lot of people, you can do all the flexing and flashing, but you got more responsibility with these things.
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of young guys that call me. I want to be an investor. And my first question to them is, do you have a POF? That's proof of funds. They're like, no, I thought you were going to help me with it. Help you with getting money? This is something you're supposed to have. My man said he got a house. I said, he told you what? He got a house from where? Mm-hmm. Like, ask him how he got it. That's who you should be talking to. If he told you he can connect these dots and he just bought a house and was able to get a house, and that it doesn't work like that. You need cash, you need or credit. It's nothing in between. Nobody's going to give you nothing for free.
And a lot of people buying cheap houses through like wholesale deals. But the city is cracking down on wholesaling a lot. Like, there's a lot of new legislation going into play. Because, I mean, truly, when you think about it, the wholesaling taxes, they are a little bit predatory in nature. Because of the way the neighborhoods that they target. They target predominantly poor people who don't necessarily have the knowledge. Now, I'm not knocking nobody hustle, get it how you live. Everybody got to eat. But I don't necessarily think that's always the best way either. And so many people are now kind of becoming hip to what it is, both old and young, like between newspaper articles, people going to town hall meetings in their neighborhoods. And a lot of this stuff is going on. So you might have a person that wants to be an investor and they may say, yeah, I got $20,000 cash. And that might have worked for that person. They may have lucked up, but that's not, I don't think that that's going to really be in play like 5 years from now. Probably sooner than that.
You know why wholesaling is so big? Wholesaling is big because families are not educating each other on how to leave the property to their family members.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who never had to pay a mortgage doesn't not have value of their house anyway. They just see the cash, like pay me the money out the house. I just want to leave. You know, if they have somebody who's willing to pay their taxes, their probate, and they still want to make $30,000, that's how wholesaling become. I'm not a fan, but I'm not against it because you just want to let your mom house go to the city, or you want to let me buy your mom house.
And at least you walk away with something. Like, so, it's not the best tactic. I'm just like her, not against it, not necessarily for it. But I understand that. I tell people all the time, like, I actually did a wholesale transaction just because it worked out better for the young lady. She had a ton of debt. Like, the house was probably only worth like $25,000. She had $20,000 in debt. By the time you take real estate fees and all that out of it, she was walking away with nothing. So, I mean, wholesaling that transaction just happened to work better, but she understood why. It wasn't like a hassling her to let me sell the house. It was
or being deceitful.
Yeah, it was a conversation.
That's the good point about it. When people call you and they say they want to sell their house, I want to sell my grandma's house. I don't want to live in this neighborhood. I don't like the house. Okay, but let me just tell you what the value of the property is. I'm not an appraiser. Let me put that out there, but I'm going to tell you the value. Then I'm going to say to you, how much debt did your grandma have? My grandma had no debt. Did you do a title search? No. Well, how you know she ain't no debt? Mm-hmm. I come across so many deaf people who left millions of dollars of debt to their family. They go to sell the house. This ain't even your house no more, because once you pay that debt, Lahi causes a debt. I'm not telling nobody to get on any type of program, but when you have a property and you go on these programs, they won't want their money. They might not want it today, but you've been running that heat. Oh, when you go to sell that house, the gas company will be knocking on your door. The water company is going to knock on your door. Mm-hmm. When you refinance so many times and you like, grandma got a new kitchen. Did y'all figure out why grandma got a new kitchen? Did y'all figure out where grandma booked that vacation from? Because she wasn't working. Oh, now grandma going and she left you out of the house. And then you go to sell the house for $50,000, $60,000 and you realize that y'all only walking away with $10,000. So with that being said, we have to come together as family and have those conversations. We need wills at 45. Yeah, you need a will. You can't just take grandma's house. Grandma said, I can have the house. All right, you got the house. But did grandma tell you she was married when she got the house? Because in the state of Pennsylvania, when you was married and you bought a house, that's two people own the house. Grandma just don't own the house. Mm-hmm. It's just that grandpa don't live there no more, but he's still the owner of the house. And did grandpa tell you he had 10 kids? Because now they own the house too.
Yep.
So I think that's the conversation that we have to have in our community, even with selling those type of properties. We need wills. We just don't just keep giving it. Sell it to me for $1. I mean, it might be a good idea to sell it to somebody for $1, but did they tell you what debts they come with the house?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because people are like, my grandma gonna leave me all these houses. And then they go like, I want to sell it, and we run the title, and they're like, Grandma, yeah, she left you a lot of debt. Mm-hmm. Like, were you ready for that? I want more for the property. No, we agreed on this already.
Yeah,
and that's where they're saying that the wholesalers are becoming predators. But most wholesalers do ask you, do you have debt that you don't know of? Are you sure that the title is clear? And meaning the title meaning anything is no liens, no judgments on a house. Right. Not that you want Philly.gov and say, I don't see no judgments. Right. Child support is not on your credit report. PGW is not on your credit report. Water company is not on your credit report. Nope. Water company,
cable bill,
those things, they give you a whole new account number. Mm-hmm. So then you got like 5 different gas bills because it's a new account.
Yep.
And then when you go to sell the house, they're like, oh yeah, you owe $10,000 in gas. What? Yeah,
and that's what happened.
Away with this?
And that's exactly what happened.
We're not gonna let you walk away with a lien. We want the property. I want our money.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm pushing get the will.
And a lot of people want to keep the money, but they don't realize how keeping their property is going to put you further in debt. Like that was the conversation that I had to have with that seller. Like you want to buy a house for your kids now in a different neighborhood, but like you can't make no moves with all of these liens and judgments against you. And I mean, it was a lot of stuff. So I'm like, I mean, just having this paid off, you'll probably see an increase in your credit report. Yeah. Like your score is definitely going to go up, but you're not going to be able to make any move with this hanging over your head. And a lot of people just, like she said, want the cash up front, but you still got to pay them responsibilities. And owning property is a big liability. Like after a while, if you decide you're not going to pay your debt and you own a house, they don't care because guess what? They're going to attach a lien or a judgment to their house. And so the moment that you try to do something or one of your heirs later on try to do something, they getting paid regardless. They're not going to keep on badgering you because they don't put that lien on their property. That's not going nowhere.
Yeah.
So you going to pay me one way or another.
You're going to pay me one way or another. And that's why we have to get our credit in order, our finances in order. Family business need to be talked about. Funeral, who's paying for this? Who's paying for that? We ain't gonna wait till with the funeral and then feel like who gonna pay for everything? Did she have a life insurance? Look, I feel like everybody should have a life insurance. With
Everybody should have. Everybody should have a life insurance in general.
In general, but those are the type of things that in our community we have to have those type of conversations, because that's part of investments. Is part of real estate. Your grandma she owned 10 houses, but was they paid? Was the taxes paid? I'm gonna say this. This is just a disclaimer that I would tell any young investor who just want to get into the business: stop buying houses without title searches.
Isn't that cheap. Like a part of the process? Don't you have to do that?
So for a standard real estate transaction, yes. But if you're buying something like wholesale, you can just buy it cash. Or if you want, you could do something that I don't know how many people do it, but a quick claim deed. Please. So I could sign a quick claim deed with Janell right now, and she'll just acquire everything that comes with my property. She gets the property and everything that comes with it, and she might not even know what comes with it. I could have told her I only owe a gas bill. And the whole time there, she found out I owe PGW. I got some credit card debt that they done put a lien on, water bill, everything else. But now I done signed that property over to her for dirt cheap. But she got to now pay all that on the back end.
Yep. And that's how this, get educated before you just throw your money away. Get educated on credit. Get educated any way you can on the aspect. Not just go to these first time buyer program classes. And it's really not a first time buyer grant. I hate when people tell me, right. I want the first time buyer grant.
Right.
I mean, actually, some people can get these grants twice.
Right.
But actually figure out why they're giving you the free money. Just like student loan, we got those that check, all that refund. We was hype about the refund.
I wish I would have known.
But then
listen,
that was interest I'm paying, and I
didn't even think about that.
So
listen,
that's one of the things
decisions.
I tell people about. When you get these things, ask them why are you getting them? Do you really need the grant? Is it benefit you? And like Tosh said, sometimes it's benefit you just use your own money. Secondly is stop letting all these dealers just run your credit for a car. Just to get a car 7-10 times. Go to your bank. Why your bank not giving you no money? Don't you bank with them?
And most of the time, your bank is going to give you a better interest rate just because you've been a customer with them.
The bank is going to give you what you really can afford. Mm-hmm. That's the problem.
Because they know what your money look like.
They know what your money look like. That's the other thing. And then just staying up to date with your credit. Stay consistent with your job. And if you become a self-employed, get a CPA. Get an accountant. Because so many people that are self-employed, if you decide you're going to quit your job tomorrow and be your own entrepreneur, make sure you get the house first for that 2 years that you worked at that government job, that city job. Because once you become self-employed, they're looking at that self-employed check. And most people who are self-employed, we write off so much stuff. I write off uniforms. I write off gifts. So in the mindset of the bank, you only make $20,000 a year. So you could say, I drive a Maserati, but you only make $20,000 a year on the books. So the mortgage company is going to look at you like, you're not worth nothing. You're writing off everything. So I would tell somebody, if you're self-employed, you got your own business, and you want to purchase a house, make sure you have all that stuff in order. Stop using all this venom and dropping money in your accounts and PayPal and Cash App.
Cash App. There's no record of it.
There's no record. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's different. You gotta educate yourself on everything, the full ground. Because I had somebody almost go to settlement, and she dropped $10,000 in her account, and the bank is like, "Where does this come from?" That's money laundering. Then you can't get the house because it's not. See, the money ain't been here long enough.
But somebody like 60 days.
Yeah, 60 days. Somebody gave it to me. You can't use student loan to buy a house, and that's a lot of people push that. Now, if it was 61 days from now and you had that student loan still sitting there, it's considered savings.
Right.
But if you got a check that just came in the door from student loan, you're using borrowed money to borrow money. You can't do that.
Right.
IRS is not borrowed money. That's just your money.
Exactly.
So I just want to, just touch on those points because a lot of people don't know.
And a lot of times people also have to learn when they buy investment properties, you don't necessarily need an LLC to buy an investment property. You will need that 20% down. But you can actually buy an investment property in your own name for investment purposes with 20% down, and banks will actually give you that money. So a lot of times people are like, oh, I got to start an LLC. I mean, you can do that if you want more protection for your personal assets, because as a landlord, you are responsible for everything that happens. but you don't necessarily have to do that. And a lot of people are pushing that wave. But with a LLC comes a whole nother different bracket of taxes, which I did touch on in the book. It talked about each part of or each different business formation and examples of it. And it also gave some tax breakdowns in there too. So for each different type of business structure, because each formation structure has a different tax component to it. So a lot of times people are like, yeah, get an LLC, but are you going to file your taxes as an S corporation or a C corporation?
S corp.
Right. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know the difference, though.
Yeah, and that's kind of what the book
goes
into.
Yeah. So Latasha Becton, she's recently authored "Divorce Your 9 to 5," and it's basically like a book with like business tips, tricks, things you need to think about, how to be strategic about starting a business, what you need to think about, what you need to research. It's really like a blueprint of, I didn't get to get through the whole thing, but I just started reading it. It's really a blueprint of before, during, and kind of just the things that you need to research and know if you should start a business.
Pay your kids.
Yes. Yeah. Once you're in business with the things that you need. So where can they find that actually?
So you can find that on Amazon.com. I have a ebook and a physical book, both available on Amazon right now. Working on getting it up in the Google Play Store and the Apple Bookstore as well right now. But right now it's currently available on Amazon. And it's definitely a blueprint. That was the intention. When I first started my business back in 2016, I had no idea what I was doing. It was just a matter of, I knew I wanted to do it, and I just sat down and started just doing the research. And doing that research, I was actually just keeping notes because I was like, okay, well, if one of my friends decide to do this, like that person don't have to start from zero like I did. So I'm kind of comparing. Yeah, I'm comparing, what's the difference between an LLC and a nonprofit. In the book, I go into a lot of stuff with nonprofits because everybody thinks, well, if I start a nonprofit, that's a 501(c)(3), and every nonprofit's not that. Mm-hmm. So, I was kind of doing all of that research, and then, nobody really told me about conducting market research to actually see if there's a demand for the thing that you want to start. Like, is this more of a hobby thing and you just keep it as a hobby, or do you actually go and try to monetize this and put this into some type of business model?
Is there a demand?
Yeah, like, so, you think about that, like the idea that you have, are you reinventing the wheel? And if you are, then what are you adding to it? And if you're not reinventing the wheel, is this innovation that you have right here, is this something that people are actually going to be interested in? So, like, those were a lot of the things that I didn't think about, even in terms of, like, money for a business. A lot of people are just like, oh, well, go take out a small business loan. There's so many different ways between venture capitalists, crowdfunding, angel investors. But, like, these were also things that at the time when I started, I had nobody to explain that financial component, for me. So, I just decided that it would probably be best to put together like a short book. It's about 70 pages, but it's basically much less like a 70-page print blueprint that I didn't have. So I'm really hoping that it'll help a lot of people that want to start businesses, whether it's to do an investment property, whether it's to start their own creative company, whatever it is. I just think that, especially our community, people need to know. And I'm not, trying to necessarily make the biggest profit in the world. The book is $15.
Definitely reasonable, for sure. Reasonable.
Yeah, I didn't.
$14.99.
99 iTunes.
I spent $14.99 on lunch.
Yeah, I didn't want it to be something that everybody wouldn't be able to access. Because to me, that just.
I think it's good in general that you did it, because it's like, you sat and you put in the work and you researched and you acquired all of this knowledge. You know what I mean? And instead of just holding on to it, like, it's $14.99. Mm-hmm. Like, essentially, you gave $1 million worth of game for $14.99. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, that's good. We need to do more of that, like more of sharing. You didn't come out here and have a $500 brunch.
Nope.
You know what I mean? You're not having a $500 empowerment brunch.
What are they eating at $500 brunches?
Right. I hope they serving
chicken and waffles
the whole time.
Like the little plate chicken.
That's what I've been saying. Where they giving them little chicken and waffles. The little mini circle waffles, though, you make like 3 at a time in the waffle maker. So
like the little Eagle,
the Eagle joint. Yeah, that's what they serving over there.
Yeah.
And mimosas with like
mimosas with Andre.
Yeah.
Andre. What is it, Andre?
Andre. Okay, so this is dope. We got 2 listener questions. I mean, I feel like we kind of answered the first one, but we can just do it like, formally, whatever. All right. So the one question is best financial ways to get into investment properties after already using FHA.
You only can go conventional or cash.
Right.
Hard money. Mm-hmm. You only can have one FHA loan at one time. FHA is usually given, and I'm not a lender. I know you put that out there. Right now, I'm not a loan officer. I have knowledge of banking. I did look, I'm an undergraduate finance, but I had to put that disclaimer out being a realtor. That once you have an FHA loan, you really can't get two FHA loans. So the next is conventional cash or hard money. That's the only other way because you can't hold two FHA. And usually most people have FHA because they have high debt to income in that aspect. Because I get people who call me all the time, I want a conventional. Mm-hmm. Well, you don't know what you're going to get until you apply for a mortgage.
Where do I start with the home ownership process?
I always tell people start by analyzing your finances. That's the first step. You got to figure out where you currently are financially. How much debt do you have? How much debt can you pay down? And you need to look at that and create a realistic time frame for when you actually want to buy that property. So if you say today, right now, that you want to buy a property in 2021, January 2021, you need to start analyzing what debt do you have, what can be eliminated, where is your debt to income ratio going to be, because there's certain percentages that you have to be underneath in order to qualify for certain mortgages. And you have to actually ask yourself, what can you afford realistically each month? With every other bill that you have or any other type of expenditure that you have, what can you actually afford? And once you do that analysis and you kind of figure that whole piece of it out, then the rest of it starts to become easier. But a lot of times the home buying process is not a long, strenuous process. You can literally find a house and close in 30 days. That's what most of us do as realtors. We close in 30 to 45 days, most of us. The issue really becomes with the buyer. How much money do you have and where are you and what's your debt to income ratio? It's more so people having to get their own personal financial pictures together before you can, because once you start that process and you got that pre-approval, it's like this. Yeah. Like that process is going to go so fast because everybody else essentially is just waiting on you to get it together. Yeah. So you got to start with yourself.
And to tag off of that, credit, job, savings, and every market ain't for every buyer. I mean, let me say that again. Every market ain't for every buyer. Mm-hmm. I tell my clients, this is a free tip, if you don't use Zillow and Trulia. Sorry, don't. I hate the website. They give you fake narratives, fake numbers. Mm-hmm. It's not realistic because they didn't pull your credit. So when you decide that you want to purchase a house, look and see if it's houses on the market that you want to live in. Because why would you let somebody pull your credit when you're not ready? Mm-hmm. Now you just got to hit. I'd rather have a client who's been looking on the market. I found a couple houses I want. Okay, now you might want to get pre-approved. Mm-hmm. That's how I pull your credit. Right. Because there's realtors out here who make you get your credit pulled. Mm-hmm. You don't get approved because they didn't even ask you what your credit score was. Yep. 580 or higher, you can get it. 580 credit score or higher, you can get a mortgage. But if you want a nice interest rate, try to go over 640. That's my disclaimer. Stay at your job for 2 years. You could switch jobs. You could be a nurse at any other job. You could be a bus driver